Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Solly here, United States Open Championship Week, Pinehurst #2. So much to talk about, so many storylines. My guy, Icarito, Neil Schuster, is here. Hello, Neil.
Hello, Solly. I'm down the shore. I'm in the Jersey Shore right now. This United States Open, as Max said in an Instagram post today, brought to you by the Revolutionary War. And I thought that was a great shout out to the original Patriots. Happy to be here.
So there were shirts going around at the London baseball game this past week that said the British blew a 13 colony lead. Which, yeah, I don't know why we're starting
Okay.
this fight this week, but I mean, kind of like the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. The British had 13 colonies over here and they blew the lead. They couldn't keep it. Anyways, TC is here. He's not the one getting us off track for somehow, some way. Hello, TC.
Innocent, acquitted on all charges. Good to be here, guys. Neil, hope you're enjoying your new beach house.
Oh, it's not mine. You know it's not mine. Knock it off. You can probably hear my child crying downstairs. A new environment. I'm playing from the road again.
You never know, Neil. A few more of these, and maybe we can get there one day. And what is this? It's an ad read. It is brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball in golf, the #1 ball at the U.S. Open since 1949. It was that year at Medina when, for the first time, more players at the U.S. Open teed up a Titleist golf ball than any other brand. And this week at Pinehurst, 76 years later, Titleist will once again be the top choice of players competing for a place in history. Nothing tests a player's precision and control like a U.S. Open. Firm and fast conditions like the ones we'll see this week require players to be completely dialed in with their equipment. I've relayed this story before, just when we were getting ready to sign with Titleist. The first time I saw the difference in the Pro V1 golf ball was hitting a ball out of the rough at Pablo Creek here in Jacksonville with a wedge that I didn't even catch perfectly, and it held a back right corner of a green that I was like, whoa. That was different. That is a different way of controlling your golf ball, and I've seen the benefits in my game over the past year and a half, and very, very, very excited about that. Performance when it matters most. It's why on the game's biggest stages and for its toughest tests, more of the best choose the superior performance, quality, and consistency of the #1 ball in golf. So go to Titleist.com, start the fitting process, find out which Titleist golf ball is right for your game. We're going to talk some Pinehurst. We're going to talk a few of the past Pinehurst, past U.S. Open venues as we, kind of talk about why we're excited about this week in particular, what kind of skills are going to be on display this past week. We're going to go through some odds, rundowns. We're going to talk about some favorite U.S. Open memories, things like that. Talk about some of the coverage, maybe a little bit of Hamstring. We got some listener questions on the back half, but we've started doing this on preview podcasts the last several times, and we're going to keep it going. I'm going to go to Neil first of just drafting, going in order. You can take them off the board however you want it. Your favorite storylines, your favorite, what are you most excited about? What are you curious about as this week kicks off?
I won't go down the leaderboard TC style like I did for the PGA preview. But if I got the first pick, I'm taking Scotty. I mean, it is the story right now for golf. Can he get 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4, 2 of the last 3 majors? He's coming off a win at Memorial. I mean, he's the story in golf right now. I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, we talked a lot about it last night. He's just better than everybody else, and he's doing it in a very casual way. I got a lot of feedback about my analogy that he is like water. He's just kind of, he can't, it's not intimidating, but it's just nonstop. He's hitting the ball close every time you see him on an approach shot. And I think this, like the course fit, you were joking around last week, Solly, that the, Data Golf course fit had him perfect for Memorial. I would guess that he's right up there at the top here at Pinehurst. Drives it straight, knows how to get his golf ball to stop. So yeah, Scotty is the story for me.
Just a color in there, as I knew that one was gonna come off the board, but is Scotty the most interesting golfer ever? I would not say yes to that yet, but it for this to get more interesting, like beyond just the golf world, he's got to win this one. And I don't care if it is like in boring fashion and not the most exciting. Like, I don't think his Masters win was the most exciting thing ever, but all of a sudden this thing gets really, really freaking interesting if he wins this one. We can run through some of the numbers. I can do that right now if you guys want. Yeah, we'll wait on that. As guys that have won multiple majors in the same year and kind of how many wins they've tallied up in there, it gets a lot more interesting if he does win this one. But gosh, this is a huge, huge spot on him. I feel like for one of the first times this year, there is a fair amount of pressure on him. He has not won one of these U.S. Opens. He's not won any major except for the Masters. It's a different kind of test. I think he's going to be feeling a little bit of heat this week.
Yeah, I think the Grand Slam is still alive because it's the Triple Crown this year. And, win all 3 of the majors that were contested in this calendar year. We can even throw in the Memorial. He's already halfway there if you count the Memorial. I
Or the
think this is,
players. Throw the players in there.
yeah, this is the second, this is the second proper major of the year. This and we're just gonna ignore what happened in Louisville there. No, I think it's, can we have a proper setup and a great finish? Can we have, by all accounts, the weather's great this week. It's been a really good spring there, or good early summer. They've switched the greens out to Bermuda from bent. I think it was bent in 2014. So can we have, it's one of the best golf courses in the world. Can we have a great setup? Can we have a great finish? Can all of those things coalesce? And I don't think it's necessarily an indictment if it's not a great finish, but I'd like to see, I'd like to just put it to bed that, hey, we can get all these things at the same place, right?
That's a great one. I think that the U.S. Open, they do a great job with this for the most part of, are we trying to create the most entertaining product? Or are we trying to have the best tournament? And I think they're trying to have the best tournament, like the best
Yeah.
competition. I really do. And we can talk some of their, lack of teeth in some of the setups that they've had. But at the same time, like, maybe it was more entertaining when it was total carnage and they would lose the golf course. But at the same time, I feel like they aren't trying to package. PGA Championship felt like made in a lab for, like, we just want a ton of birdies and we want a packed leaderboard and chaos on the back nine, right? Which I think is a different than having a really interesting tournament from Thursday to Sunday. Is that going to resonate with 100% of people? I do not think it will. Like, I think that's pretty clear on some of the feedback we've received on how we talk about golf courses, but we're always going to share what we find interesting. And I think exactly how you laid that out there.
Yeah, TC, I love that. I really do. Can we have both? Can we have nice things? Can we have a proper setup and, a true test? And can we get a photo finish? I mean, I hope those two things can exist. I wish they existed more often. I don't know if they are, at odds with each other, but it's felt a little bit like fleeting recently.
And even if we don't get a great finish, can we get a great tournament? Like you said, Sally, can it be a great Saturday? Can it be something, let's say it's not neck and neck down the stretch on Sunday. That still doesn't mean it was a great tournament or a great finish. So, I think too, like going back to Keimer, I think people have a certain, like, I was pleasantly surprised when I went back and watched that tournament because it was a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't a complete runaway all day Saturday and Sunday. It was kind of back and forth, or not back and forth, but it was guys catching up, and then Keimer just hitting legitimately great shots to kind of close the door and putted well and all of that. So I think some of that took the luster off of the previous U.S. Open here in 2014 on the renovated or restored Pinehurst.
And it was a fun week. I mean, aside from the very top of the leaderboard, it was just I don't know, felt like reliving some of the memories of that week. It's not, and like you said, there's certain, if somebody has a huge lead throughout the course of the week, there's a lot of drama. I'm like, dude, is he going to choke it? Is he going to choke it? Just because he didn't doesn't mean it was an interesting tournament. So we'll talk a little bit more on that. I am going to take Xander off the board early here, which I don't know. I might be going a round or few too early here. I don't think that was going to be a threat coming from TC's side as well, but just want to lay out a little scenario here of
reach.
Obviously, this is my Michael Penix pick right here. We already got.
Penix wasn't a reach. He wasn't a reach. He was just a shocking pick by the team that picked.
It's bad strategy by the Falcons.
Sure. He just won a major championship. He's got a great track record at this event. And I said this on last night's show, like, Scotty needs like a rival, right? And if they're the best threat to that right now, the guy who's been the best at golf so far this year, not named Scotty Scheffler, has been Xander by a fairly wide margin. Like, he has been the best golfer. And if he wins this week, he's got a great record at the U.S. Open. If he wins this week, he's got the same amount of majors as Scotty. That's kind of fucking nuts. Like, that's really, all of a sudden it becomes, Scotty's major record looks a little light. Like, if somebody like Xander wins the second one this week. So I'm super curious to see if that getting over the hump at the PGA, easier major, asking a different question that I think a lot of the best majors do ask.
I would argue it wasn't really asking any questions.
It's how low can you get? It was the limbo major championship. But does getting that one, like, technicality off the board and having one bag, does that help him in some of these bigger, better tests? I'm very curious to find that out this week because I could see a scenario like that playing out.
I like that one, Solly. I kind of had a similar theme because I would put Xander in this category, but it's more of a question, a call out. Are there any bullies? Or is there anybody that wants to, come in the schoolyard and try to punch Scotty in the mouth, right? And I will go to like Bryson and Brooks, like just anybody from the Live Tour. You guys want to show up and play? Like I'm excited to see Bryson take on Pinehurst. He's definitely so I'll take that as my next storyline. Like, is Bryson a bully? Is he going to come back and win a second one? Because that's another guy that, if Bryson and Scotty have the same amount of majors, maybe that's a true guy from a different tour now that's going to push Scotty every time they show up at majors as a contemporary. So I'm definitely keen to see if Bryson can follow up good play at the Masters and good play in Kentucky this week in North Carolina.
Better watch out, Neil. People are gonna get all over you for saying the word keen. They get all over me all the time. Keen.
Really?
What's Conchan keen for? Yeah, I overuse it.
I am very keen.
Can I drop a little a nugget that shocked me just a little? This is maybe the place to drop it. Is if you were to it shouldn't be hard to guess after what you just threw out. If you were to guess the number one Data Golf course fit boost for this week, who do you think gets the number one bump at Pinehurst number 2?
I'm guessing it's Bryson.
It's Bryson. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel right now, that pops
again.
up right there.
This is based on 2014. Correct.
It is. It's also just like, if you hit it far, you're going to probably be pretty good anyway. So
Well,
the bumps here are, like Gordon Sargent.
Some of it is a true rub of the green, right? It's very different than when he won at Winged Foot, but I think there's a lot of holes. I was playing out at Pinehurst a month ago at the media day, and you hit into the waist area, the wiregrass, like you can get boned. It's my favorite kind of rough penalty area because it is kind of, you don't want to be in there because it's like 50-50 if you're be up against a clump of wiregrass, or you could just have a really nice sandy lie that you can ground your club in. And so there might be an argument that these guys just want to push it as far up the fairway as they want, and I think that favors Bryson in a big way.
And it's funny, like if you'd asked me 2 years ago, or like peak the big golfer, like where does somebody that Bryson's going to get wrecked, like his playing style just going to get absolutely toasted, I would have said Pinehurst. But this version that we've seen of Bryson, I don't feel that way. Like I feel like he's getting the most out of his distance while not like dedicating his entire game to just hitting it as far as possible. Like his iron play at the PGA Championship was fantastic ever since he's got these. I mean, pretty much what he admitted himself, like cheating irons that just hit the ball straight for him and correct his misses. Yeah. He's been a really good iron player. His precision has reached a different level as well. Like 2 years ago, I might have written this guy off. I'm also very keen to see what he does this week.
One thing though, sorry, TC, just on Bryson though, they are going to be growing out the rough around the greens and the short grass areas around the greens. So, there's probably not going to be as much putting from everywhere like we saw from Keimer.
Just to clarify,
Bryson's
not
wedge
rough,
game,
not rough.
Yeah, no, just like a little shaggier. So it's like it, and playing on it last month, it was, even for an amateur, where I should be putting, no matter if it does bounce or it's a little stickier. It's almost like a quarter of an inch. But I think Bryson's chipping is the one thing that feels a little suspect. Saw it a little bit at Augusta. Like he was putting a ton from off the green at Augusta. Like I wonder if that's, I would say that's a factor in me being like, oh my God, he's, a horse for the course. So the Data Golf ranking does surprise me. And I guess TC, to your point, maybe based off of 2014.
Yeah, I think Bryson, I mean, Sally, same thing. I go back to like the par threes of if he's hitting 2 or 3 clubs less into par threes, like that's a massive advantage in these greens. We're coming in higher, coming in with more spin. It's going to be a big deal. So,
and just worth noting, and again, we don't until we see how all this stuff plays out exactly. I think specific to like strokes gained around the green or short game skill, whatever it is, I feel like Augusta is a decent comp for Pinehurst in terms of at both places, you're just going to have more shots from short grass, like from good lies around the green, but difficult shots, right? Like that's some of the work that Data Golf did ahead of the Masters this year was like who gets the bump around the green when you're going to have more shots in this profile, right? And Bryson was actually not a big bump, but one of the guys that does better around the greens when there's more short grass, right? Whereas funny enough, like guys like Phil go backwards. Like Phil's got these amazing flop shots and he's got this incredible skill out of the rough. Obviously Hovland has had his issues around the greens and things like that, but just found that a little interesting to say Bryson's chipping.
Because that doesn't pass my eye test from what I saw at Augusta. It felt like he was not confident chipping the ball.
But I also think like overall for Pinehurst, we can trick ourselves into thinking this is an up and down contest when like one of my favorite trivia questions. Like, what's the best way to improve your chipping?
Hit more greens.
Hit more greens.
Yes, it's a proximity to the whole contest.
Totally.
And like you said last night, Sally, which I thought summed it up. I think you said, I'm excited to see guys control like the ball. You know, make the ball stop, I think is what you said. You know, Bryson seems like a guy that knows how to make the ball stop.
He can hit it high,
how high he hits
from
it.
long range, and specific. This golf course is going to ask, similar to a lot of major championship venues, it's going to ask for about 1.5 to 2 more shots per round from over 200 yards out, right? Which you're trading in some of the wedges that you typically see on the PGA Tour for longer range shots. That helps a guy like Xander, like we said, ahead of Valhalla, of guys that are really good from over 200 yards. Helps guys like Scotty, of course, Bryson.
Helps the European Ryder Cup team.
So like just for an example, like, and then not saying he can't contend here and not dismissing him based off poor play last week, but I feel like people's minds go towards like Cam Smith. Oh, his short game around Pinehurst is going to be amazing. Like your short game can help save you, can help keep a round going, but it's still a ball striking contest on this golf course. If not here more than other places, just because the misses that Xander like got away with at Valhalla, not the same margin of error here. It's not like some of these spots are 3, 4, 5 yards. You got to land it in to be able to get the ball to stop and hold, and it's going to start rolling away from you otherwise. So it's asking a very different question.
When you do get in a bunker, there's actual penalty.
Totally.
You can't short side yourself. This is a real golf course.
Very, very, very real golf course. So who's up? I lost track of where we were going. TC's up. Okay.
I think Colin's really interesting.
There we go.
Colin Morikawa. We're talking about iron play. Colin could get to 3 majors before Scotty and have 3 legs of the career Grand Slam as well. So with the Masters being the lone if he doesn't win this week. So I think that's a big thing. It feels, I was thinking about going Brooks or Rahm's foot, but I think I go wait on those. There's some health as a skill stuff. There's some dog stuff. I want to see if Colin's a dog. I want to see if Colin sticks his nose in there this week and punches above his weight.
And specifically Morikawa, like he like a similar path to Rory. I know Rory got to 4, but Rory got a bunch early without a ton of major heartbreak, out a ton of close calls. Whistling Straits was a very close call for him, but other than that, he just kind of made winning him look pretty easy. And then when it started getting just a little harder, a couple close calls, a couple misses here and there, it just went a little bit differently and hasn't gone the same for 10 years now. Morikawa's now kind of working backwards. He's had some good close calls, good strong finishes, but hasn't been able to bag them nearly as easily. Has had some questionable Sunday performances in front of regulation size fans, like normal fan amount, which his first 2 majors were not the same level of fan engagement and excitement. Just some
struggles in wind,
just something that's worth mentioning. So I've kind of I'm not gonna lie, this feels obligatory, but we can't go too far without the Brooks mention. Same gut as always of like, I don't see any particular reason why he would play well this week, but that has been proven wrong very many times over the course of the years. It's been a pretty disappointing start to him for major championships so far this year. I don't know what the signs to look for in Brooks ahead of majors. I don't know what what the indicators are. Whatever they are, for me, they're not going off, but just feels like we will regret not mentioning him in the first 20 minutes if we don't mention him. So I'm still curious to see if he summons it this week or not. There's not a lot of in between weeks for Brooks in majors. It's kind of like, I've got no interest in this one, or like, no, I'm gonna top 3 this one.
Brooks actually played. I mean, I know it's like Golf Club of Houston's not an easy golf course, former PGA Tour venue, and Brooks shot 65 yesterday down there. Like he's a guy that, again, really good distance control, good long iron player, knows how to stop the ball, right? Knows how to control his ball on the ground. So I mean,
he'll be patient. I mean,
and he played well here in 2014.
He did.
When he qualified in, I think, Walton Heath.
Well, guys, I'm going to declare it now. I will not be hosting the block party.
Oh my God!
Take over. It feels wrong.
Is there a block party, or is it totally canceled? And
I can't speak for if there is one. I will not be running it. I will not be. I'm not in charge this week. I'm gonna. So I think the storyline is Rory going to become the forgotten man? Is kind of a storyline. I mean, we're 20 minutes in, and
I wanted to see how long we could go. I literally had.
I know.
I wanted to see how long.
But I got to take him. I mean, listen, we can't let him fall any farther because he is a storyline. He's a storyline every major, right? Because if he gets to 5, then all the stuff you're saying about Scotty or Xander or Colin getting to 3. It's like, I mean, well, yeah, Rory's sitting right there. Of like, can he challenge Brooks to get back to 5? And now we have a generational race kind of in the, I guess, category or generation above Scotty and Colin. So yeah, it feels like Rory's been a little off the last couple weeks. A lot going on off the course. Don't love the course fit, honestly. It just feels like he's good for a boneheaded approach shot, like once or twice around, which just, you can play ping pong, you miss in the wrong spot at Pinehurst. So I don't know. Anything on the course fit for him, Solly?
They're not necessarily, and I would say what jumped to me was like I don't think I had him pegged for a great course fit last year, and he almost won at LACC.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
is that good? Yeah.
yeah,
Like, I don't think he's going to miss
right.
the cut. I just don't think that, it would be disrespectful to the block party if I said that, like, oh my God, this is the week. Like, I don't really think this is the week for Rory. I don't. So play this back to me.
Yeah.
If it is the week, I would be rooting for him. I'm hopeful, but it doesn't. I'm not like jacked up about it like I was before the PGA where he'd won 10 years ago.
If you're watching on the YouTube feed, I'm flashing it up there as well. He is actually gets the 4th biggest boost on this golf course, but this is one week where I'm honestly not. I'm unsubscribing to that. I'm with you.
Can we stop showing that data golf? That's bad data set. It's a bad.
Was that Dean Burmester ahead of him?
It's to
Getting a
say
bump? Oh.
it's to say the guys that hit it far though profile well here. Like it's not like their ability to hit it far is not getting throttled here. Now what it doesn't say is can you hit the 3-yard wide gap that you need to hit to hold this green and not have it trickle off, right? Because that's not where my mind goes with Rory. I don't picture him as being in complete control of his golf ball and being able to do all that stuff. So
that sums up exactly how I feel about why I'm I wouldn't listen. I did 10
my
a block.
top 10.
I just need someone else to run it for me. That's all. This week, I just don't want to be.
You can't
No.
say, oh, you know what?
After
If
what
there's a
you
block
pulled-
party out there, I'm
Yeah.
gonna attend it. That's bullshit.
that is
I'm very inclusive on this stuff. I think people would let me come through. I think people would be happy to have me there as a guest of honor.
Why would you want to come through?
Because if they're running a good party, it's fun. Why not, man? I have no pride of authorship over the block party. Somebody else wants to pick up. Someone else feels great about him this week. More power to you, brother.
I really do think it just comes down to, there's going to need some guys. You're going to have to get out there. You're going to have to collect your data. You're going to have to know your spin rates. You're going to have to know like what kind of control you're in your golf ball. And if you've been on our YouTube or social media over the last week, you've probably seen Foresight Sports launch monitors showing up more and more. I did some on-course testing. I love getting Neil's reactions to what I transition.
It's good stuff, man. It's really good stuff.
I did a little on-course testing this past couple weeks. That's one of the things I was most excited about with the quad was getting out there and testing. Like, yeah, we all know the ball jumps out of the rough, but like, what does the actual data look like? What does the spin actually do? What's the carry distance actually do? Posted that up on our Instagram. Just practicing that with wedges. I'm gonna keep doing a few more of those, going farther down the bag and seeing kind of what's an 8-iron carry like out of short rough versus what it would be out of the fairway. Ben had the quad max out there for the film room match at Pinehurst 2. In addition to launch monitors being awesome teaching and diagnostic tools, they're the brain power behind golf simulators. If you're interested in a simulator, Foresight's Sim in a Box kits are an amazing option. They got everything you need to play simulator golf at your house, garage, backyard, shed, or office, or wherever you have room to swing a golf club. Inside the kit, you get a launch monitor, gaming computer, projector, screen and enclosure, hitting mat. And this week, Foresight Sports is offering great deals on Sim in a Box play and Sim in a Box Albatross packages on their website. What sets Foresight Sports simulators apart from the one-stop shopping opportunity are the little details that add up to an amazing simulator experience. Like, for example, the tracer line, it actually starts at the place where your ball impacted the screen. Like the ball flight and the ground physics match what you see in the real world. And with all the processing power and the launch monitor, the action, it happens instantly. So they got over 300 courses in the simulator library. They just added Muirfield Village and Pinehurst number 2 to the library. And it is constantly expanding. And Nest subscribers, they saw GC3 launch monitor deals in the newsletter last week, and everyone can see the specials all month long at foresightsports.com/no-laying-up. Again, that's foresightsports.com/no-laying-up to check out the deals on a Sim in a Box kit this week. Any other storyline drafting, or you guys want to talk a little bit more about Pinehurst?
I'd like to see who's going to make a leap. Who of these guys who hasn't won a major? Zalatoris isn't coming in great form right now. A Sahith, a Victor Hovland. I want to see if, Xander got his alleged major. I want to see who's up next to kind of cross one off the list.
What about Tommy, TC?
Neil,
Didn't
he
draft
took.
Tommy.
Listen, I didn't say it. You said it. All right. I
You didn't
wanted
draft
someone
him.
else to
I had
say
to
it.
remind you. I had to remind you.
It's
to
over.
pick your
He
guy.
abandoned his boy a long time ago. Like, he abandoned his
I've
child.
abandoned
It's
my
like,
child.
it's over.
You want to talk about iron play? Accurate.
Well, I want to talk about. We're 26 minutes in. I thought you'd want to talk about that.
I don't even think I need to. Tommy's record speaks for itself in the U.S. Open.
Big Bob. How do you feel
Couple
about
of
Big Bob?
63s. Yeah, Big Bob, Foxy. I got Foxy. Neil, I talked about Foxy in our FanDuel preview show. I said Foxy's
Solly's
gonna be
least
first round
favorite
leader.
player on
Yeah.
tour, I think, right?
Yeah.
Solly hates that guy.
Moving on, I want to talk a little bit of Pinehurst stuff. We already answered a lot of the questions I had about Pinehurst. The best is just not to acknowledge you guys when you do this stuff.
Well, I mean, hold on. Before we talk about Pinehurst, are we going to see anything from the Blow Pig? Defending champ. We haven't even talked
We'll get
about
to odds. We'll do
Okay.
odds
Well,
rundown. We'll get there.
I will say doesn't have a ton of experience here. He played the course for the first time like the day before the media day in May, but he seemed to like the course. I mean, like Solly said, it's not going to throttle distance, so you can kind of wail on it.
He's just not playing very good golf.
you can't miss it. 100 yards right off.
Actually, some people
the
are saying you
18th
can
tee.
miss the wider the misses, the better potentially out there. Like the wire grass does get a little bit balder the farther away you get off the center of the fairway. But we answered a couple of these questions. What has us excited about watching Pinehurst this week? Do you subscribe necessarily to the Pinehurst being about your short game? Brad LC asked, is strokes gained around the green as important since most chipping stats will be with rough around greens compared to Pinehurst with tightly mowed surrounds? We pointed that out to say, like, yeah, you may want to look at the numbers that are on golf courses that have more short grass surrounds and all that. So lack of rough this week.
Scare me with Victor. Like that's what.
Yeah, yeah,
Sure,
for sure. It just, man, every image I see of this golf course, it just like scratches. Again, most of our job is trying to put things into words, but it's like you just have to look at an image of like just the seventh hole, not the sexiest, not the best hole out there, and seeing like
seventh hole.
Just how much. When I say how much angles matter, I do not mean chasing angles. I don't mean that there's a million levels of strategy of playing to the left side of the fairway or the right side of the fairway. It just means that, like, playing the course in the proper way, like you can't just blow it over dog legs and go find it and figure it out your way from there, because the punishment that you get for going offline into some of these sandy areas is so good. And again, that working backwards element of you just getting so many of those spots where it's just like, dude, you have a good lie, you have a shot, but you're just fucked. Like, you can't get it close to the hole. You cannot do it from this spot. The way this golf course kind of like forces you into following the right procedures and protocol almost of getting around the ski moguls rather than just bullying it is what gets me really excited. I mean, there's just so many spots you could hit. There's gonna be really entertaining golf shots after really bad shots this week, right? Because there's chances for recovery. It's not just thick rough. Baby. Yeah, I love Sawhip this week. Yeah. Nah, I don't love speed, but
I mean, I listen. I don't love speed. I'm just saying recovery shots and that sort of thing.
Yeah. There's just going to be so much to cut. Again, a big reason why we've been hard on a lot of golf courses that just have thick rough off the fairway is like the variety we're going to see this week in the kind of style of golf from Thursday all the way through Sunday is a big difference in that. So
one thing though there, Solly, because I think all that is really well said and I agree with it. And I think it's helped that, I've been to Pinehurst a few times. You played the course. I love the course. I love the subtle challenge of it. But I think that some criticism some people have is that like, oh, the holes run together. There's not really a postcard hole. It's like, yeah, the third hole, but honestly, it takes 5 minutes to explain why that's a good hole. Yep. Basically, everything you just said is like, sometimes I think with these events, it's like thick rough and waterfalls is like looks better on TV, and it's hard to explain like why. If you just turn the tournament on at Pinehurst, you could be like, man, this course looks pretty boring. Like, it's pretty, but it's like, oh, that he had a perfect lie in the waist area. Like, why is everybody freaking out about him hitting it to 20 feet? It's like, well, if you've been in that waist area, you know how hard it is to control the spin and catch the ball clean, and just the scar tissue of like, if I don't catch it clean, I'm going to go into this awful bunker and I'm going to play ping pong for the next 10 minutes. It like that again, it just took me 2 minutes to explain that. So I think if people are willing to dig in,
yep.
it can just be really rewarding, and there's like a lot of depth to it that is, I think for me as a viewer, will be really fun. And the fact that it is a public course and people can play there, and a lot of people take golf trips there, it's like, oh my God, I've been in that spot. Like I always have a great time watching majors where it's like I've played that course before. It just adds another element of enjoyment to the viewing.
Speaks
So,
to the
Totally
public
agree.
nature of Pinehurst too, versus like LACC as a venue last year. There's no
yeah,
like ability to relate to that, and it didn't play the way I think we were hoping that it would play last year. But Jamie H.
Or,
Stewart had a great
or even
question
an
on this.
ability to go see it
Yeah,
yeah.
because the members were
that
buying.
was tough.
Although I would put the Pinehurst Country Club members right up there with the LACC members as far as being wary of the outside world. I think one other thing that gets lost with Pinehurst is there's more elevation change than you think out there, especially when you get out to 4, 5,
Oh,
9,
so sick.
and then 13. Some of that, but it truly is one of those places where I don't think I appreciated it all that much. Even in 14, I think I'd been there once prior, but it was pre restoration and all that. And so having been there a few times now in the last 5, 6, 7 years, gained such an appreciation for it because you realize, there's context to where this stuff is on the property. It's extremely nuanced, and I hope that comes through on TV as well. I think it definitely helps too that the sun's going to be out. It's going to be sunny.
Yeah.
Like having the sun out is just such an underrated, massive deal at a golf tournament. I think for the course to show off, and there's going to be all these different layers and colors and all that stuff. So I couldn't be more excited to watch it on TV. I just hope NBC doesn't fuck it up.
We'll get to that. Jamie H. Stewart had a great question as it relates to this. He said, I watch golf every weekend and don't seem to have the same level of appreciation as you lads do for the course layout, etc. Any tips for how to consume the product that will increase my appreciation? Take notes, absorb complimentary data that helps understand the shot options. Jamie, I appreciate the effort you're willing to make here. We are not asking you to sit at home and take notes. That is not the request. I think I thought about this one a lot today, and it was like, man, do we just get ourselves in these rabbit holes of all these things that just don't matter to people? And I kind of landed at like, again, the difference that we're going to see this week is a lot of these recovery shots and just the element of these approach shots and the mystery that's going to come with it. Like you're just not going to see that many shots where it's like, oh, that's an easy one from there, or oh, this one's going to be tight. Like the question isn't, is he going to get this within 10 feet? It's going to be like, is he going to be able to hold the green? Is he going to blah, blah, blah. And so many of the offline shots are going to lead to a massive question of like, of what can happen from there. Whereas like if you miss I don't want to keep doing
Sully,
Valhalla.
it's kind of like some of the links golf fans. Like they know what a good shot is when somebody hits it to 25, 30 feet, and it's like, oh, that was a really, really great shot from there. That stuff doesn't come through on TV as much,
Yeah,
it kind of reminds me more of a links course than a lot of the other courses on the Rota,
it
right?
does. But I think where I was kind of going with that is that, like some of these made, like Oak Hill, for example, had such thick rough that if you drove it in the rough, I just wasn't intrigued by the next shot. I wasn't excited to watch it because it's like, you can't really hit a miraculous shot here. Like you're just, you're getting punished for it. You hit a bad tee shot. I get it. And I get the argument for that style of play, but this one is going to be like, you might hit, and I do not know what's going to happen next. You could hit a truly disastrous next shot and get yourself even in worse spot just because the contouring is so good around these greens. Or you could hit a great one. You can hit to 5 feet. You get a miraculous recovery shot. And that intrigue is like where I get a ton of thrill out of watching golf and appreciating the level of good play. A lot of people, when they tune it on, they want to see birdies and they want to see made putts and all that. Not telling you you're wrong on that. But again, I know we end up talking about this a lot. So I appreciated this question a lot.
Yeah, I think
Well, it goads people
it's
into
linksy,
hitting
right?
like
Like that's
heroic shots.
that.
Like you're saying, like try to hit a heroic recovery shot. And sometimes though, like these guys are so good that they end up pulling off those shots more often than not. And I guess if the deeper you get into it, is like because you played out there, because you just know how unpredictable that is. Because not only like can you control like from the rough, it's like you're not gonna be able to hold the green. It's just gonna, like we saw at Memorial. It's like a lot of things are just gonna bound to the back rough, and they're gonna hit the same chip. Like we saw Scotty and Colin do on 18. At Muirfield. But here it's like you might catch it so good out of that waist area stuff, you're going to spin it off the false front. It's like there's like a lot of different ways it can go wrong at Pinehurst because you have the option to play, and it's really a chance thing out of the wiregrass. And I like that. I mean the other thing with Pinehurst just for amateurs is like I go out there and shoot like 85, I'll be thrilled with it, won't lose a ball.
Yep.
And you're like yeah, I got my ass kicked, but like I didn't lose the golf ball. Like what a fun challenge that is. I know that's not what we're worried about here, but I do hope one day they set it up. I want to see some ping pong, man. I want to see some guys like on, what is it, 6? I don't know if they'll probably play it as a par.
6 a par 3.
6 is a 3. 5 is what you're thinking.
Oh, sorry, 5. Will that be a par 5?
Yes.
Yeah, because 4 and 5 are almost like half par holes. So guys coming in and hitting it left there and then rolling over to back right. And like, I've played ping pong there. Like, God, I can't wait to see somebody make a mess there. So anyway,
you're going to see some of
that
that.
is a great question, though.
I don't know if you're
One
going to see
thing I
ping
would
ponging,
say-
but you're going to see balls get repelled. You're 100% going to see that.
One thing I would say to Jamie, who was like, "Hey, should I take notes?" Whatever. I would go watch the flyovers.
Yeah.
On the U.S. Open website, I think that's a great tool because there's, like you said, Neil, there's some dynamic shots out there. I think the drive on 4, or I think the second shot or the third shot into 5. Par 3s are exceptional. Par 3s are super dynamic. 6, 9, 17 is a great penultimate hole there.
Yeah.
And I think, like you guys said, there's such a, like, it's all relative, right? I think the hitting it close, making birdies or making 12 footers for birdie and par feels different. And I think there's, like, I have such an appreciation for seeing these guys like number 8, par 4, long par 4. It's where John Daly
walked off.
He basically walked off. And so I'm never playing one of these things again. And like, just seeing the spots that these guys try to, like, they're on a razor's edge trying to get up and down from that green side. And you're going to have a bunch of 12 and 15 footers. And it's kind of like there's some scar tissue that builds up. And at some point, like, all right, you may make the first 5 or 6 of those, but you keep putting that pressure on yourself, you're going to get frayed. You're going to get, you're going to get impatient. You're going to get undisciplined. You're going to get just tired, and it's going to add up. It's like taking these little body blows. There's not a lot of knockout punches out there. It's just, you're going to get the shit knocked out of your ribs.
And we haven't seen how hard it's going to play, and it's not going to be that windy. Like, it would be way harder if it did get windy, but I struggle to think of a course where they off the top of my head, where like 68 and 80 are like as close together as they are. Like, you could be a little off and shoot 78 or 80 very quickly. Like, there's just so much uncertainty, even from day to day. Anybody other than Scotty, if they have a 5-shot lead at the halfway point, like, if you go back and watch the 2005 U.S. Open, holy shit, man! Like, a bunch of those guys were just a little bit off, and everybody shot in the 80s, and that uncertainty of the drama is what I find super exciting.
Let's go get 3 more, Solid.
Exactly.
I hope they have
Jason Gore.
I'm gonna go get
some
it.
good
Yeah.
features too on some of these greens. Like 15 is a great example of, it's like an inverted spoon. Like, there's false, it's not just a false front, there's a false entire half of the green. And I hope they send Smiley or somebody out there, kind of like Ken Brown does, or did on with the beach ball, or with, just like a handful of golf balls, and get some throwing them every which direction. Cause I think that's what's truly needed to show off. Like Johnson Wagner, give him whatever props and
nuts.
tools he wants, and just go out and do it. Especially because it seems like all this stuff it's on USA, it's on the Cock, it's on the it's on NBC. There's not a whole lot on the channel, right?
Nothing.
Live from kind of gets crushed because everybody's on all these other platforms or on all these other channels. So let's just send Johnson out with the coverage, with the broadcast,
And one final thing here, Jamie, to answer this question is the difference too in, like, maybe badish architecture. Like, just again, take an example, the last 3 holes of Memorial. The beef I had with those yesterday was, like, the good shots aren't getting rewarded, really. And Pinehurst, like, if you can hit the 15th green at Pinehurst, like, you can hit a great shot, you will seek that reward. And if you miss, you will seek a punishment. That exchange of value at Pinehurst is one of the most fair exchanges I've seen. I've shot 88 on this golf course and wanted to rush back out there and do it again. Whereas I've walked off, like, Pinehurst. I played TPC Sawgrass this year, 2 days after the Players, shot 85 and was very fine to get in my car and go home. Like, I just did not want to do that again. Like, that's the difference between this style and that other style. And that's again, kind of why we tend to favor it. So another good question here. Eat and Sleep Golf said, should the U.S. Open become nasty again and par be sacred? If so, how is that best achieved? Just going to give a quick rundown here. I went back to 2010, grabbed the winners, the golf course, and the scores of each of these to kind of show how this has fluctuated over the last, That's 14 U.S. Opens. That's a lot. Pebble Beach, 2010, Graham McDowell won at even. Congressional, the next year, Rory won at 16 under par. Olympic in 2012, Webb won over. Marion in 2013, Rose won over. Pinehurst in 2014, Martin Keimer won at 9 under. Chambers Bay.
But there, the rest of the field was 8 back.
Correct. He was the only one
right?
better
So
than
that's
1 under.
yeah.
2015, Chambers Bay, Spieth won at 5 under. Oakmont at 2016, DJ won at 4 under. Aaron Hills 2017, Koepka won at 16 under. Shinnecock the next year, Koepka won at +1. 2019, Pebble, Woodland won at 13 under. Wingfoot, Bryson won at 6 under in 2020, but he won by 6. He was the only guy under par. Torrey Pines, Rahm won at 6 under. Brookline in 22, Fitz won at 6 under, and LACC Clark won at 10 under last year. So I know, and Randy's not here to state his case. He would say the winning score should definitely be over par. Let him, he'd root for the maximum possible carnage. I get that. Just found that there's not like a trend line here. It doesn't move directly, but after they lost the course on that Saturday in 2018, after Zach Johnson made his famous speech, they watered it overnight. There were guys threatening 62 the next day. That was like light bulb going off for me in terms of like how thin the line is of like literally legitimately like embarrassing the players and like losing a couple of the greens and the pins, Phil running after putts, all that to like shooting 60,
Unreal.
almost shooting 62 the next day was like, something's wrong here with how technology and professional golf is trending, that you can get those two extremes on back-to-back days. And since then, 13 under, 6 under, 6 under, 6 under, and 10 under being the winning numbers was it. They've softened their approach in setting this. They're no longer willing to push it to the edge because of how many times they've looked silly in doing it, right? And that is to the chagrin, I believe, of Mr. TC and Mr. Randy.
And to me, I'd like to see him push the envelope a little bit. And I don't need it to be Mickey Mouse stuff, but I just this week specifically though, it doesn't look like the wind's going to blow a ton. So then you have to like amp up the golf course and dry out the greens, and that can get a little dicey to keep it, reasonable, or so that it's not very different for different waves of players and it doesn't play differently throughout the day, or you have to stop, play to water a green or something. So I know there's like a lot of logistical stuff to go along with that.
Neil.
But
Syringing greens, okay.
Excuse me, but I would like to see them. Like I don't need it to be over par, but I do like it when guys making like tough par putts is like they're fired up about it. That so if you want to call it the protection of par, sure, but they should come off the course and be like, my God, it's playing really hard. Like I think that should be like
especially when they haven't had that in years. Right?
Yeah, some of the players should be upset. Like they almost like the way like a Google, the way the central teams would set the sales quota. Like half the people should miss quota. That's what those people are getting bonused on. Like half the people should be pissed off. This is unfair. I can't hit quota. It's like, yeah, man, because it's supposed to be hard. We're not just handing it out here.
And I guess my beef with that part of the conversation is I don't think a single person at the USGA or anyone running this tournament would disagree with any of that. I just don't think you can play God, right? I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm making that argument.
They're not going to need to play God, right?
But the wind doesn't blow. They're like that.
Know what the conditions are going to be. They're not going to have to trick it up. The sun's going to be out. It's going to be firm. It's going to be fast.
And I still think scores will be relatively good, right? I think you can have a really good setup this week and scores be relatively good, right? I think like there's many, as skilled as these players are with this technology, if you don't have wind, I've not seen one single golf course that they haven't picked apart when they don't have wind. I mean, they had wind at the freaking Masters this year, a ton of wind, and Scotty still shot double digits under par. Like I think double digits under par is going to win this week.
I would like though for maybe the benchmark is when there is no wind like this, if they aren't stopping play at least once during the week to like, we got to water this green down. Like that should be like, hey, we pushed it right to the edge. And like everybody take a break for 10 minutes. We're going to water this green real quick and then we'll get back to it. Like this, we found the edge and we're going to step back slightly. We're not going to tuck our tails like they did in 2018. But like find the edge. Let's do that. That's what that kind of, for me, that's what this event should be about. Brandel said it to you last week. Like, let's scare the shit out of them.
Speaking of quotas, like the USGA should have a quota once every 5 years. The winning score needs to be over par.
You have to lose the
And
course once every time.
but if that's the
That's
case,
I'm in
then
TC. I
then
love
you know
that. Not
what?
every
Like
year.
then you guys need to do something about equipment.
Oh,
Because
100%.
because otherwise, like, what are we doing, right? Like if that's not possible anymore, then all right, cool. They're better athletes. They're agronomy is better. All this stuff. It's like no, like a lot of that stuff doesn't matter at Pinehurst. Like I want like Gordon Sargent is out there. He's gonna be hitting the ball at 360, but I don't think Gordon Sargent's a dog.
That's where my lack of attention, I can't direct any angst towards setup stuff like at this level of technology, just because like that's 90+% of the problem, right? Do they get every detail right in setups? No, it's setting up is harder than we probably give it credit for getting all the greens to work right for 156 players to come through and blah, blah, blah. But in this, if you are pro this technology and get mad about the low scores, that's the worst kind of. Stay away.
Yeah.
Stay away from me. Like, don't bring that take in here. You have to, if you don't like the low scores, you have to be willing to say the ball should not be going this far. The driver shouldn't be this forgiving. So
I do think
TC, I'm with you though. I just want to double click on your point there. Once every 5 years, like they should wear it as a badge of honor. Like, because it's good for the entertainment value. Not every
but the
year, but
players
man,
hate it, and the players are a bunch of bitches.
But
They were about to
no,
mutiny
but
after
like
Hold
the
on.
Zach Johnson, we've lost the course. Like that's all time content. That's good for ratings, baby. Like, oh man, the ball's rolling off the green, guys throwing their hands up. Like we need a little bit of that.
Can I
5 years.
caution flag this though? Because like the answer to what you're saying is a trend that I don't want to see, which is you can narrow the fairways and grow the rough up and scores will go up, right? Like that's a guarantee. And I think that's less exciting. That's where I'm like,
no, I'm
But I
not.
think this
That's
is one
not
of
what
the
I'm
few
asking for.
interesting
That's
places you can
because
do it.
yes, that's where TC nailed it. I think because you can't do that here, and I would like to see that these greens just be like outrageous, And if you have to stop and water a few of them, I'll wait. I don't know. The defense of this course is the turtleback greens, and I want to see those shine. I want to see casual golf fans be like, "Oh my god, look at that ball keep rolling!" Like that's
Ball
good
is on the
TV
ground.
content.
Yeah. And they
I think
should
that's
be
good for the
more.
entertainment.
They should be really, really comfortable with this golf course in setting it up.
Totally.
They've had U.S. Opens here. They had I was out there at the USAM last time they had it here. It was awesome. They have their facility here, the USGA. Like this is a home game for the USGA, and weather is not going to be much more predictable in any location than it is there this week. So,
and I think they can have it awesome, diabolical, and the score still be low this week, right? That's unique to this golf course. I really do think so. So
there's only 2 par fives. There's not a whole lot of. I do want to see him move some shit around too, like.
But to Saul's point earlier,
the tee on 3.
Sorry, TC, go ahead.
Yeah, just I want to see him move tees around because I think some of these holes, play 4 shorter one day, play 5 shorter one day. Like, let's see a little bit of variability there.
I was just gonna say the fact that guys can hit heroic recovery shots, like if someone's like hot, and the fact they can get back on schedule so easily from the waist areas does. Like I'm with you, so I think the score is going to be -8 to -10. That doesn't really bother me, but I guess more going back to kind of the eye test. Like if it's not around par, that's fine. I just want to see some guys like throw their hands up and really be challenged with like you got your hand stuck in the cookie jar and you can't get it out.
I want that.
That's what I'm looking for.
I look more at that like median score than I would the lowest score, right? They're the leaders, right?
Yes,
like the median score at Valhalla was way too low. And I don't care that much about actual scoring, but like that median score, if everybody's under par, is anybody under par is kind of what I would say. Which we had a great question came in this past week. I forget who sent it in. I threw it in the agenda as soon as he sent this over, but he said, rank the last 10 U.S. Open venues from best to worst or from worst to best. You can do it whatever. With the caveat of for how they played in that Open, right? Like, so setups for the last 10 U.S. Opens, ranking your favorite to your least favorite, which goes back to Pinehurst in 2014. Neil, I'm going to throw this one to you first. If you want to rank your top 10 favorites.
Okay.
Worst to first.
Worst to first?
Sure. Go worst to first.
Well, see, it's tough because the second part of the question is important.
It is
of like how they played.
It's
right?
It's not
and
just
like,
about
I
the
really,
course. Yeah, it's about these.
Yeah, like I'd like to see them go back. Like I'd like to see them go back to Erin Hills, but that course didn't play. It didn't really present the challenge. So like for a U.S. Open track, like I don't know. I'd like to see the PGA go there. I guess is what I'm saying. Like but maybe it didn't really work out. So I put Aaron Hills up there, but then seeing it in person, I think that golf course is incredible, and I would like to see pros play it again. So we'll go there first. I'm going to put LACC in at 9. I didn't really like the way it played, and maybe that's because I don't have a lot of experience there. But you mentioned it earlier, like it didn't feel like a U.S. Open for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good tournament, but it just didn't really do a whole lot for me.
I think you can count the lack of fan vibe in that as well.
Yeah.
I that's fair. So keep going.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it's tough. I mean, I'm going to throw Torrey Pines in because I think it is a U.S. Open course, but it's not my favorite type of U.S. Open. And the fact that we see it, every year already, I would really like to see the U.S. Open go to courses you don't see. I know we have anchor sites, but it's like Pinehurst isn't hosting the PGA Tour event.
Right.
U.S. Open should be a little more hallowed ground, I guess, is what I'm getting at there. God, this is where it gets tough. I think Winged Foot accomplished the mission, and I respect the golf course, but I didn't really like watching that one that much because it was such a I respect its career, but the way Bryson overpowered it, and he almost found the loophole. He found a way to get the secret tape, like in Tony Hawk, that like a button combo in N64 that nobody knew about. All right, now it gets a little tougher. So I'm going to throw Shinnecock in here. Shinnecock's one of my favorite venues for the U.S. Open, but the way they backed off on Sunday kind of frustrated me. But the way it played on Saturday is yes, and past Shinnecock's sign me up. So maybe I should bump it up the list. Actually, you know what? I'll put Chambers and then Shinnecock. I'll put Chambers in front of Shinnecock. Would love to see him go back to Chambers Bay. I thought it was awesome. I thought the complaining was great. I thought everybody getting mad about the greens being bumpy and
they got new greens
that's great stuff. Sign me up for that. I like Pinehurst, so I'll put Pinehurst here, and then I will go with so sorry, I got out of order here because I had to change it because of how it plays. So let me go Pinehurst, Brookline, and then Oakmont. I thought Oakmont was awesome, and I'm fired up to see Oakmont next year. I thought as TC said, Dustin Johnson just established himself as the best player of all time with that shot into 18 at Oakmont. But Oakmont's a true test, and I think it's set up really well. So that's my number one for this exercise.
God, I'd love somebody listening to this pod for the first time ever being like, Dustin Johnson, best player of all. What are these guys talking about? We don't have time to do that one. But TC, what's your list?
I know it's outside of the statute of limitations. I'm going to go congressional.
Oh, I forgot to put congressional.
No, you did not forget. It was not one of the past 10 U.S. Opens.
Okay. All right.
But it was just such a bad setup, such a bad golf course that I wanted to shout it out because it was. Next, I'm putting Winged Foot.
Yep.
I thought Winged Foot was a complete disgrace. I thought it's still a disgrace that the superintendent hasn't resigned. The lack of dog legs there, being serious, the lack of dog legs there was kind of concerning. Next, I'm going to go Pebble. I didn't love the way Pebble played. Just didn't. I don't know. Pebble just doesn't do it for me as a U.S. Open venue. It's scenic, but just not my thing. Next, I'm going LACC. Thought we left a lot of meat on the bone there. I thought they played it way too safe with some of the setup stuff on that front. Would have loved some interchangeability there. 6 and 7, things of that nature. What do we got after that? We got Torrey Pines. Wow. After that, it's fine. Aaron Hills, I thought it was chicken shit the way that they backed down to Kevin Na, where he threw. I've been in that rough, okay? I've been in that rough, people. Some of the thickest rough on the golf course right there in that exact spot that he did his little charade. Next up, we're going Pinehurst, kind of middle of the pack. I thought last time they got a bunch of rain overnight Thursday into Friday last time. They kind of neutered the golf course a little bit. Going Shinnecock after that, I think Shinnecock, Solly, that was the widest Shinnecock that they've ever had. And I think it, +1 with them backing off of it. So they were about 75% of the way there. Just don't back down. Go the extra mile. Next, I'm going Chambers Bay. I thought Chambers Bay was a great example of it was -5-1. Plenty of birdies out there, but some big numbers as well. Tough to get out of those bunkers, and somewhere where I feel like this is what was lacking. I'm fine with birdies. Same thing at Aaron Hills. You just got to go earn the birdies. You got to hit good shots, and you got to take on risks. And so I feel like Chambers is good for that. I'm going Oakmont next, and then Brookline. I thought Brookline was the best setup, fans, viewing, TV presentation they've had in the last 7 to 10 years.
I like that. We'll have some we have a lot more differences than I would have thought. My 10th is Torrey Pines, not a U.S. Open venue. Don't do it. Take it away. That just did not work for me in any way. 9 was Wingfoot, similar vein of just thick, rough, narrow fairways, no intrigue. That was not good. I put Chambers at 8. It has nothing to do with Chambers as the quality of the golf course. The setup was not good. The greens were terrible. Like the greens were bad enough to like affect the championship, and the tinkering they did with like the 18th hole and like it just I wanted to see that place shine and work, and it just didn't. Like everybody walked off to that course hating it, and they're pampered fucks at times, but like if everybody hated that bad, it's bad.
Nobody hit quota. They said the quota was too high.
It was a bad spectator experience.
Yeah, exactly. Pebble, well, number 7, just too benign. It's just almost no intrigue in that one. LACC also played too benign. I have Aaron Hills at 5. I think it was not as bad as people think, but I watched some of those highlights back. The fairways were just crazy soft also. Like it just a little bit of spiciness. It's not because of the low scoring. It just did not have the same like it was a little Valhalla in some of the bite. Brookline at number 4, just a proper setup, unspectacular I think, but just a proper setup. Shinnecock at number 3. It was a beautiful chaos. I think it's just such an amazing golf course, and it was wildly entertaining to watch them snip, snap, back and forth on that one. I Pinehurst at 2. It was not a sexy tournament, but it just to have the second place number be at 1 under par on that golf course without thick rough is kind of a testament to what I like to see in a challenge of golf. And then Oakmont was number 1 for me. I thought that was just like the most healthy balance of like rough, fair, undulation of the greens, speed of the greens, good challenge, but fair. And like everybody, that was just a great test of golf. So those have been my rankings of the top setups of the last 10 years.
What about Congressional?
I forgot about Pebble. I would throw it in my bottom half too, as far as a U.S. Open venue. Love the golf course, but not as much for this event.
Congressional doesn't exist anymore as we know it. TC, it's a completely different golf course, so I can't rate that one. Some odds rundown as of the time of me preparing this agenda this morning. Scotty was plus 320. I believe he was plus 280 at one point via FanDuel. Rory is second favorite at plus 1,000. Xander plus 1,200. Colin is plus 1,400. Vic plus 1,600. Bryson plus 1,800. Brooks and Ludwig sharing plus 2,200. Rahm is plus 2,800. Tommy Fleetwood plus 4,000. Cam, JT, and Fitz are 4,500. Hideki 5,000. Max and No Hat Pat are plus 5,500. Sahith and Tyrrell plus 6,000. Shane Lowry, Big Tone, and Tom Kim plus 6,500. Min Woo Lee, Wyndham Clark, Sam Burns, and Jordan Spieth plus 7,500. Corey Connors, Keegan, and Sepp Straka plus 8,000. Russell Henley, Sung Jae, Cam Young, DJ, and Big Shot Bob are plus 9,000. That's a weird one. Yeah, it was a weird one for Sung Jae. And Will Zalatoris plus 10,000. Will Zalatoris 100-1 to win this U.S. Open. Anything jump out at you guys amongst all those?
Weirdly,
Bryson.
Big Tone. This place kind of sets up nice for Big Tone.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. He seems like he's rounding back into form a little bit. I'm feeling a Big Tone top 10, top 20.
Okay, that's different.
So that was Cam Smith at 4,500 with JT and Fitz.
Correct.
I don't know what happened to Cam yesterday at Liv.
That doesn't. I don't know.
Finished like double, bogey, double, triple, double, or something like that.
Kind of shutdown mode ahead of a major, but
yeah.
I mean, Bryson at plus 1,800 feels like a fun one
for sure.
Right?
I love how optimistic we all are on Bryson now because we only have to see him once a year.
For sure.
It would be so different if you had to watch Bryson all week last week and his antics and everything.
Well, here's the thing. It feels like all the other live guys are just kind of, playing grab ass. It feels like Bryson's over grinding on YouTube videos and just playing like golf 4 times a day, and he's in the lab, man.
I love the conversation.
Guy loves content.
Bryson's changed, man. He's just a changed man. His comments last week about how 3D printing your irons is going to change the game, and how he no longer has to wait for you don't have to wait for prototypes anymore. It's just like, That was such a game changer for me because that's what's been holding me back for so long. It's like I have to wait 6 months for these prototypes, and now I can just 3D print my irons like exactly to spec, and like that's like just so spot. I do miss hearing Bryson's ridiculousness, but
Solid question for you, JT.
selling.
Any kind of spark there or
Uninterested.
anything stirred within you?
No. His approach play was fantastic last week. That's worth noting, but I cannot picture JT or Spieth lasting 72 holes with putter. That's been my block for quite some time here. Of like, yeah, they might have spurts here and there. I'm not really entertaining anything with Spieth either. I mean, he's plus 7,500 to win this tournament, and I'm not sniffing around that at all. There was a question that came in as well. The Onseler is the best way I can read that name. It said, how has Spieth become a great driver and a legit bomber and yet become a substantially worse player?
I mean, it feels like he's hurt, right?
Yeah, he might be hurt.
Yeah.
Might be, but he's driving it like outrageous. He's just,
I don't know, hurt, distracted. I don't know. It just feels like he's
got a lot going on.
That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Spieth was once the best iron player in the game. He's negative strokes gain approach this year. Yet he's having his best driving year ever. If he matches this up, it could get really interesting. But
I think Spieth's got some stuff left in his career. I just think he's got to get that wrist fixed at some point. I'm curious too how guys like this is Bermuda, right? This is grainy ass Bermuda. How do guys? There's some guys that are diggers, some guys that are pickers out there, and turf interaction's a big thing out of Pinehurst.
I challenged you guys to come. I just wanted you to bring me one U.S. Open memory. Just one. It could be literally anything. It could be a great shot. Could be an awful shot. Could be a USGA fumbling of the bag. Can be extremely important, extremely unimportant. Just bring me a memory. Bring me something fun. TC, what did you come up with?
I got the Birdman. I mean,
yeah, I had that on my list. I kind of knew TC was going there.
Just Webb, getting in the field this week, getting through final qualifying, earning his way in through an exemption, not the other way around. I think just conjures up memories of Mike Davis and the Birdman. And that was like peak Mike Davis, right? That was when Mike Davis was really, really stunting on people. That was Olympic Club.
It is the Jungle Bird, TC, by the way. It's not the Birdman.
It's the Jungle Bird. Birdman, whatever. Yeah, the big Jungle Bird. And by all accounts, it seems like we've kind of stopped deforestation, like net deforestation around the world. Deforestation is kind of stabilized.
I don't know about that. I think we might be counting too many carbon credits.
I think we were. Neil, we covered this on the Trap Draw. I think last year or 2 years ago was the first year in decades where we were actually seeing reforestation. So again, credit to Webb, to Mike Davis, and to the large Jungle Bird.
Love it. I had that one on there too. That 2012. I remember watching that vividly, even though it was the year I graduated from college. We were watching from Hawaii. We were visiting our aunt and uncle, TC. That's where we
John Peterson, Bo Hostler's mom, all sorts of things.
I have Saturday, 2018 Shinnecock. I was at the tournament, and I was on site, and it wasn't just that they lost the course, but I remember being out there and the players in person, they were Hatton took like literally way too much time on the 7th tee, the par 3. I think that's the reverse for Dan. He couldn't pick a club. Guys just like in their own heads, like they all looked like they were, like shell shocked out there. And then they ran out of beer on the back 9. And so all the fans were getting furious at the concession tents. Just a million New York fans. Everybody mad. It's hot. It almost had a bit of a Fire Fest feel. And then to come in off the course and see like the Zach Johnson stuff, and just like, oh my God, they did lose the course. Like I wasn't just imagining this. Like the players are freaking out about how hard it was. That's kind of an on-site like feeling, and then seeing it afterwards, like, oh man, so it came through on TV. Like this place was crazy today.
Did you take the train out there? Like they built a train station on site, right, or across the street?
No, I was staying with a friend. I was staying in Montauk actually for a couple nights, and
you staying out at the surf lodge.
No, I was not. I think I did go to the Surf Lodge, but I was not staying. I was definitely not staying
Well,
there.
they built the train
Um,
station, but it was the final train was leaving before play ended, so he had to.
yeah, yeah.
I thought you were going to take
It
mine.
was a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought
Sorry.
you were going to take mine because that Saturday was truly one of the best moments in golf Twitter history, which is when Phil Mickelson. I remember I was working out when this happened, and Phil Mickelson hit a putt past the pin. I believe it was on the 13th hole, and ran after it and hit it while it was moving. And also after the round, tried to convince us that that was like the smart decision. Like, oh yeah, no, I calculate. That's what it was better. I was better off doing that than letting it finish running. That was just an all-time
Yeah, I'll
moment
take the 2 strokes. It's no big
when he
deal.
could have taken an unplayable and just gone back to the original spot and not had to take that penalty. But that was just such an all-time moment. We might have to just do this at the end of every show this week of just add in one obscure moment from US Opens because there's just so many epic ones along the years.
It's funny to think about too that I think we, in a weird way, we treat that US Open with a lot more respect and reverence because Zach Johnson came out and said they lost the golf course. Like I think otherwise, like he made it so unserious that he hurt the player's cause that much. And it's funny too, like all of us ranked Oakmont among our top 2 or 3 when the USGA managed to fumble the bag there too with the whole Dustin
DJ.
Johnson thing. That was a
That
fucking
was
disaster.
so stupid. Oh my God. The one thing they did, yeah, they got the greens just a hair too fast for that one. But
And who was we thought they thought the trophy ceremony that there was like maybe intoxicated like during who was
Diane
that?
Diana
Murphy.
Murphy?
Yeah.
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 Was that's the same event, right?
I
She
think
was
I
super
feel like that
jolly.
was like 3 or 4 years in a row with her.
that happened at she said the wrong name at one of the US Women's Opens in that time period too. That was unlucky. But we got a couple questions sent in. This one, Brody Layton, you sent a great one to Neil. Strictly based on feel, this doesn't seem like a block party major. That's been answered as Neil is bailing on his beautiful
I
boat.
will say back though, it is early in the week. That could
Okay,
change.
that's true.
As of now, that's where we're at. It doesn't feel like a block party.
Yep.
That's that we can go on the record with that.
Hey, speaking of block parties, do we need to drop some blades and bows on some folks?
Oh, we do need to drop some blades and bows, TC. That should have hit this a long time ago, and that's on me. As golf enthusiasts, we've come to appreciate the tradition of celebrating a round of golf with a round of cocktails at the 19th hole. So we're teaming up with Blade and Bow Kentucky Straight Bourbon because they elevate those celebrations, honoring the legacy of the golf clubhouse. Crafted with the same dedication and skill as the perfect swing, Blade and Bow is more than just a whiskey. It's a testament to craftsmanship and tradition. It offers the opportunity for a refined golf experience on and off the green. And what better way to toast 18 holes than with his signature cocktail at the 19th, the Kentucky Caddy, a favorite of professional golfer and fellow Blade and Bow bourbon lover. Wyndham Clark is a blend of fresh lemonade, peach tea, mint, and Blade and Bow served over ice. It is the perfect companion for celebratory moments at the 19th hole. I made one of those. It actually was absolutely fantastic daytime drink. Visit bladeandbowwhiskey.com to discover more about the premium bourbon and savor every moment responsibly. Blade and Bow Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 45.5% alcohol by volume, Stitzel Weller Distilling Company, Louisville, Kentucky. Please drink responsibly.
Got my blade and bow right here, Sally.
Thank you,
I'm
TC.
gonna bust into this later today.
Evan Ferrara, in your
Hell yeah,
opinion,
Monday. Let's get it, TC.
what is the hardest hole at Pinehurst in part 2? What specific shot are you most excited to watch on TV? TC, I'll go to you first.
Hardest hole. I guess this is personally speaking. 6, like there's not a whole lot of tee boxes where I stand up on the tee and I'm like I straight up just don't have this shot. And 6 is kind of one of those holes. If the wind's blowing at all, if the pin's in a tough spot, I still remember that from our tour sauce season. Just standing on that tee box, like holy shit, man, this one, and it never gets easier. It only gets harder each passing time you play it. So 6 would be my vote there, especially because they can play it up to about 225, which is insane, hitting anything longer than a mid iron into that green. The hole I'm most excited to watch, I always love 13. There's options off the tee. You can kind of force the issue and push it up there. It's a dynamic wedge shot in that you have to control your spin and not rip it off the front of that green as well. I think there's trouble long and short. And I don't know. It's a dynamic hole. It's a little bit different from the rest of them there.
Neil?
Number 3. I think it's the hardest hole for me. I'll be interested to see how these guys handle it, but that green is so much fun to play. I feel like it's a fun hole to watch. There's a grandstand. I think I pointed out in our film room in the match against Ben. There's a grandstand like on the left side of 3 green. It just feels like I was like, man, I would be sitting there all day watching these guys try to navigate the basically what do they hit off the tee? You know, are guys laying back with iron? Are they trying to blow it up? It gets a little fatter up towards the green, and then like kind of a delicate wedge in there. Maybe I underestimate how good these guys are if they do have wedge in their hands, but it's I think that hole is awesome. The other one I caught is 16. I think 16 is like I'm very excited to watch it. I feel like I'm almost bummed because 3 comes so early in the round, where I feel like 16 is a fun one. They'll play it as a par 4, I believe, par 5, you know, for resort guests and members. But I love the way that green sits back in there. I think there's going to be some fireworks there coming down the stretch. You can hit a really good, you know, drive there, and I think it probably is a good birdie chance for these guys. But I like the 16 and 17.
Yeah, it's a weird golf course in that I think the front nine's better than the back. Like that stretch kind of from 3 through 6, that little zigzag is just so good. And 7's great. I mean, it's just, you know, again, we talked about how it doesn't really have a signature hole, but I'm excited to watch. I don't think 3, just to clarify your point, I don't think 3 is going to score very high. Like I don't think it's going to be the hardest hole by any chance, but it is a good opportunity. It's on the more entertaining side of that one, but 4 is just a freaking hard golf hole. It's a you know, a long par 4, fairway canting from left to right. Balls are just want to find the right side of that sandy area or that bunker that's right there, into, you know, long irons uphill into that green, a slopey green for coming in with that much of a long iron. I don't know if it's going to rate the hardest, kind of depend on wind direction, but that stands out as one of my favorite holes in all of golf, honestly. And probably my favorite hole at Pinehurst. 3-4 is just an awesome par 4 stretch of like short 4, long 4 that just kind of defines the whole experience for me. So
I think 5. I think the second shot into 5 too. Like you can get caught with your hand in the cookie jar a little bit there. That green is so severe. I mean, 8. We've talked about that hole a little bit earlier in the thing, but just like that green. When I think of Pinehurst, I think of 3 and I think of 8. Like the way that green is turtle back there, and then 9. I think is going to be a spectacular hole to watch. You know, my guy ZJ had the ace there back in 2014. And then after that, I feel like that's probably 10, 11, 12 is kind of the one spot on the course that maybe isn't quite as dynamic. Like that's kind of where it just gets really hard on 11 and 12. And then, you know, and then it kind of picks back up as far as excitement on 13. So
It'd be fun to see guys try to navigate going long on 10. I forgot how deadly it is back there. And like you don't even think about it because you come off 8, you're like, all right, cool. Like let me catch my breath. And those holes, you can try to go on autopilot and get bit there because 11 and 12 are pretty flat, but so they kind of lull you to sleep a little bit. TC on 13, they did bring the wiregrass in up the left, so much tighter fairway. That was like the one big change they made to the course from what the USGA was telling us last month. And I was saying it last night, like. For me, it was like, oh my God, why wouldn't I hit driver? I'm just as likely to miss the fairway with iron because it's tight like all the way back. It wasn't like fatter towards like the iron landing spot. Solid, I know we were playing the tees like way up from where they were, but we were kind of like as a group looking at it of like, I could see. I'm curious to see what those guys do off the tee on 13 because I don't. Maybe my instinct is wrong, but I was kind of like, man, I bet better off just blowing it up closer to the green and having a wedge out of the wiregrass. So, you know, we'll see.
God, I'm so excited for this. Yeah, right? Just that tease alone, Neil. That's your.
We haven't even mentioned 14. 14 is one of the best holes on the entire course.
Yeah, so we could do all those. Just a quick Amsterdam segment, or just kind of introducing what we're going to experience this week. 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. on USA. On Thursday, 5 to 8 p.m. We're getting Peacock blocked. I stole that from somebody on Twitter today, but it is pay for play only from 5 to 8 p.m. on Thursday.
Very cool.
Well, Friday morning, 6:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Le Coq. Then it moves over to NBC, actually, from 1 to 7 p.m. on Friday. And then the middle finger hour, you know, taking that last hour on the cut line of everything. Make sure you flip over to the Coq, back to the Coq for that one. 7 to 8
just 1 hour.
Right, just 1 hour. It's the most obnoxious thing they do. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. On USA. 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. on NBC. Sunday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on USA, and 12 to 8 on NBC again. Some sources were saying 7 p.m. finish. The USGA site had 8 p.m. In there on Sunday. So Sam Flood has commented that the Thursday commercial time will be reduced by 2 minutes per hour. So you can thank us for that by joining the nest, nolayingup.com/join. We have made it our life's work to get you these 2 minutes per hour back in your life. They did not say out loud what the commercial load was and what they're cutting it to, because I think those numbers would probably still be quite jarring. All I really care about is if it feels like we're getting 2 minutes back, which 2 minutes does not sound like a lot. It can feel like a lot. I don't know. We'll see. But that didn't leave me with a great, only for Thursday too. They didn't say, I don't think they said anything else about Friday, Saturday, Sunday about what the commercial loads are going to be. So I would just say expect the worst and just plan for that.
It's amazing that they're getting, they're getting a screaming deal on this. Like they're inflation adjusted. They're paying pretty similar to what they were paying on the deal before they lost it to Fox, and then and they're still crying poor and figure it's amazing, truly amazing. So.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll be monitoring this situation.
Important context: we did do remote work
That's right.
on behalf of Omaha and ESPN during the PGA Championship.
That is, thank you, TC. It's important we throw that in there.
We got a question from Really Dan Weiner. If Scotty wins, is this the second greatest individual season of all time? I did a little research on this one, guys. I'm going to say no on this, and I'll give you some examples of this is post World War II, the guys that have won 2 majors in one season. Okay, and I'm going to tell you how many times they won in that season. So if Scotty wins this one,
are you counting DP World Tour, European Tour?
I did count them, and some of these get a little noisy with Arnold Palmer and some of this as well. So, and it's really not going in any order of any kind. But Brooks Koepka, and he won 2 majors in 2018. He only had 3 wins that year. His other win was the CJ Cup. Again, this would be 2 majors and 6 wins for Scotty is the comparison here. But Rory in 2014, he won the last 2 majors of the year, but only had 3 wins that year. That was all in a row.
One other question, Solly. Are you doing reach around or no? Reach around?
I don't know. I think it's calendar year.
I mean,
I think it's
I guess calendar year. So CJ Cup would be reach around.
Yeah, I don't
count it.
I don't really. It was that following CJ Cup, so I don't know if it would count in that season actually. But one thing I didn't check was Rory did win the BMW that year, so four wins because he won the on the DP World Tour. I miscounted that one, TC. I apologize. In 2015, Spieth won the first 2 majors and had 5 total wins. So Scotty would be technically bypassing that one. Tiger Woods won 2 majors in a year, at least 2 majors in a year, 4 times. He did it in 2000, where, of course, he won 3, 2002, 2005, and 2006. He had 9 wins in 2000, 5 in 02, 6 in 05, and 8 in 06. So Tiger only had 6 or more wins plus 2 majors in 2 seasons. So, and Scotty would have 1 after winning this one. So
I feel like Scotty, I mean, that's kind of because it seems like he's just going to keep winning the regular PGA Tour events
for sure.
And the only thing that could really hurt him there is if they don't count, like how do you count Eastlake?
Totally.
Right? Do you count?
Well, that's what we were talking about last night, TC. Somebody asked like over under. I think it was 8.5,
6.5. Yeah.
6.5. And I'm like, man, he's probably going to play 8 more times. He's going to win the Tour Championship. I think if he starts with a head start, he's going to be so far up on everybody. So you got to think he's going to get to 7.
They should definitely give him a bigger head start too.
So I think, yeah, it looks like I see him winning 2 or 3 more, like outside of these majors.
Because it's not like he's winning
2 more is
events.
an easy
answer. He's won like, in my opinion, the best events of the year. Like the only one he hasn't won is like Riviera, right?
Well,
like,
the only reason
Players, he won Heritage, he won Memorial.
The last 2 that he hasn't won, he was pending felony charges. Like that's the what has happened in between that. Yeah. Nick Faldo in 1990 won 2 majors. Those were his only 2 wins. Tom Watson in 1977 won 2 majors and had 5 wins. Gary Player in 74, he had 3 total PGA Tour wins, 4 on the South African Tour that year, so I don't really know how to count those. Palmer gets really weird. He had 8 wins in 1960 and 8 in 62, but that tour was obviously a little weird back then. Hogan did it 3 times.
That tour.
I didn't go back and count off his non-wins. Lee Trevino, 2 majors, 6 wins in 1971. So that would be a great comp for that one. Padraig won 2 majors in 2008. Those were his only 2 wins that year. O'Meara in 98 won 2 times. Those were his only 2 wins. Snead in 49 did it. And Nick Price in 1994, 2 majors, 6 wins. 6 wins in 1994.
Wow.
So
Nick Price, underrated, man.
Yeah.
He was really good.
David McCarvey asked, on the Tour Sauce episode at Pinehurst 2, Solly claimed that it was his favorite course in the U.S. Is it still true today? I have to put the Augusta disclaimer out there. I don't even think it's fair to bring Augusta into the conversation. If you exclude Augusta, I would still say that this reigns true today. It's like the most fun challenge. It's just, especially like the most fun course. If you have any semblance of your game, it's the most fun challenge to take on. It's just the best kind of aspect.
It does feel really good to play well
Yep.
there, which I think is like a category of course. It's an important like pro, like check that box of like, I feel like I earned it, number one. And then it's the happy medium for me between a lot of things of like, it's a championship golf course. You don't lose a ball. The challenge is subtle. And also like the more you play it, the more the scar tissue builds up. And I think that's also fun. And like you said earlier, TC, it's one of those places, and this is a gut feeling thing, but you kind of know it. It either is or it isn't. It's the kind of place where you can go shoot 90 and want to go right back out and play. And there's, that's not a lot of courses do I feel that way about. So
good segment idea for this week. I feel like if maybe we do this on Thursday or Friday, your top 5 favorite public courses in America.
Yeah. Well,
this is probably, I think for me, like this is probably tied with like Bandon Trails.
Yep.
I think those are the 2 best, miles ahead of Pebble.
We got to do this part quickly as my childcare clock is coming to an end very quickly. Who will not win? I did not. I forgot to put this on the agenda, if I'm being honest, but you got to come up with one. Who will not win? I'll go first if you guys need a second.
Please stick your neck out.
Victor will not win. Victor Hovland will not win this U.S. Open. Plus 1,600. That's my pick.
I'll stick my neck out.
Reverse psychology. I'm going Rory will not win.
Oh, God.
Let's do it, baby.
I'm going Xander. Xander will not win. I'm getting back on the horse.
Doubling down on that one. So, all right, we'll have more preview content coming. Happy Hour Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We will have live shows at the completion of every round of play on YouTube and on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to the No Laying Up podcast YouTube channel, which is different than where the live shows will be. We've got a lot of people have really enjoyed the video version of these pods. We appreciate all the comments and people subscribing there. We'll be keeping up with the content all week long. We appreciate you being where you go during major championship weeks. These are very fun for us, and we're going to have a lot of fun this week. So thank you, as always, to Blade and Bo, to Foresight, to Titleist, to Neil, TC. Everybody have a great evening. Enjoy U.S. Open week. We'll see you at happy hour and every night this week. Cheers.
Thanks for what you're doing online, Solly.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you too.
You're welcome.